In another weekend, we've seen even more dismal numbers. And when we look at these 40-year low inflation, the 40-year worst inflation numbers, 9.1%. What does that really mean? What it means is families are paying more for everything they buy. When they go to the grocery store, they're paying 10, 15% more if they can find the things they're looking for. As Elise talked about, you can't even find baby formula at most stores you go to, or there's a limit on how much under Joe Biden's failed agenda. If you try to go to the gas station, you might need to fill up your car, and maybe you can't make it because gas prices are so high, more than double when Joe Biden took office. That is a kick to the gut to low and middle income families. They're the ones hit the hardest by these policies. And these are Joe Biden's policies. Everybody knows it. And if you don't wonder where the problem really lies, just look at what Joe Biden says. Every week he's trying to blame somebody different. If it really was Vladimir Putin's fault, then it would have been Putin's fault 2 months ago and 3 months ago and 1 week ago. But that's not where Joe Biden is. He tried blaming Putin. Then he tried blaming the oil companies. He actually blamed it on COVID at one point. Then he said it's the refineries. Then he blamed local gas stations. The one thing he hasn't done is looked in the mirror and blamed himself. Joe Biden is on his way to Saudi Arabia to beg them to produce more oil. Well, he went all the way to France to be told by France's leader that Saudi Arabia doesn't have enough oil to meet the needs of America. And in fact, Saudi's a cartel. They're a member of OPEC. He was begging Putin for more oil. He's going to be begging Iran and other tyrannical dictators for more oil when we have everything we need here. He could just go to Port Fourchon in my district in the deep waters of the Gulf of Mexico, where there are vast reserves that cannot be produced because he won't give permits to exercise leases. People can't even produce the wells that they have because Joe Biden said no to American energy. He hasn't said no to all energy. He's okay with foreign countries producing energy at a higher carbon emission, by the way, if you're concerned about carbon footprint. And what's the carbon footprint of the 11,000 plus miles he's flying on Air Force One to go beg Saudis to produce more oil? He could save all of that jet fuel. There are no solar panels on Air Force One. It's jet fuel he's using. It's very expensive. But he's the one who raised these prices. He's the reason we have this record high inflation, and he won't reverse course. Joe Biden will not work with House Republicans to fix these problems. And we've laid out a series of solutions, and he won't meet with us. Look at the agenda this week. Look at the agenda before we left for July 4th. They won't bring any bills to solve any of these problems. There is a border crisis going on in our country. And it's so bad that it's created a fentanyl crisis that is killing tens of thousands of people. 100,000 young people died last year from drug overdoses, mostly by fentanyl, which is made in China, coming across our southern border because Joe Biden turned our border over to drug cartels. And he won't work with us to fix that. That's why when you look at polling that just came out today, 64% of Democrats don't want Joe Biden to be the Democrat nominee for president in 2024. They're running away from him. But they won't work with us to fix these problems. And that's where Speaker Pelosi has failed, because she continues to double down on the far left agenda, using the House floor to carry out a real far left radical socialist agenda rather than working with us to solve real problems that are hurting, crushing, hardworking, low-income families. So we stand ready to fix these problems. When we're in the majority, we will work to fix these problems. But in the meantime, we're going to continue to call on Joe Biden to meet his promise to do better. And he's failed the American people at that. And unfortunately, they're the ones who are paying the price.